Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are delighted to have all of you with us for this very special webinar, where we will be unveiling two new studies from Pluxee and Proease, respectively, focused on the evolving landscape of employee benefits and the growing role of childcare in workforce strategy. Today's session brings these themes together. The unveiling of these two studies will be followed by a power-packed panel discussion with industry experts to explore what these shifts mean in practice. So that's a lot in store in the next 60 minutes. To set the context for today's discussion, it's my pleasure to invite Mr. Sebastian Godet, Chief Revenue Growth Officer for Asia, Middle East, Africa, and Continental Europe at Pluxee. Over to you, Sebastian.
Thank you, Naya. Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you very much for joining us today for this special webinar, where we are proud to launch the Pluxee India's latest study on employee benefit, the 9th edition of the Workplace Childcare Study by Proease, now a Pluxee Group company. Our journey began in 1976, when Sodexo BRS was founded in France. In 1997, we began our operation in India. And in 2017, we launched our multi-benefit platform. In 2023, we rebranded to Pluxee, our new name that reflects our commitment to positivity and employee engagement. With nearly now 5 decades of experience, we operate across 28 countries and reaching the lives of 37 million people every day. Our focus has always been on helping employees feel valued, supported, and connected, both at work and beyond. India has always been a key market for us. We serve over here 11,000 clients and 3.5 million consumers. And through this journey, we have developed a deep understanding of how employee needs and workplace expectations are evolving in India. What we are seeing today, clear shift towards comprehensive multi-benefit solutions that enable diversify of benefits meet employees' needs while offering a robust, compliant, and easy-to-manage solution for HR decision makers. Are no longer just an add-on. They are becoming a true strategic lever that directly impacts talent attraction, engagement, productivity, and retention. At the same time, there is a growing need to ensure that benefits are not just offered, but actually used and meaningfully by employees. This is particularly evident in areas such as childcare, where the conversation is moving from compliance to enablement, supporting employees through different life stages and enabling sustained workforce participation. It is with this context that we have developed the two studies that we are launching today. These studies bring together perspectives from both employees and organizations to better understand what is working, where the gaps lie, and how benefits can evolve to deliver stronger impact. To bring in a more practitioner-led perspective on how organizations are navigating through those shifts, it is my pleasure to invite Karine Vitu, our HR Vice President for EMEA at Pluxee.
Thank you, Sebastian. It's my pleasure, yes. Good afternoon, everyone. From an HR perspective, the conversation around employee benefits has significantly become more complex over the past few years. And I will say as well, increasingly become more important in the agenda of our HR leaders, not only in India, but as well all across all the geographies. Why? I would like to highlight main reason, two simple reasons. The first one is benefits has become a core element of HR strategy today. They are critical and really key lever for employee engagement, attractiveness, and retention of our talents. And organizations are investing more and more because benefits is not just a nice to have, but really a powerful differentiators today in the labor markets. Second reason, in our world of today, a world defined by and changes, employee expectations are changes very quickly as well. So there is an increasing pressure to ensure that benefits are relevant, meaningful, accessible, and impactful as well for the employees. Obviously, this can lead to several key challenges we can observe today as well. The first challenge is the gap between what organizations offer and implement in terms of benefits programs and what employees actually value and use. Benefits programs are always well-intentioned from the organization side, but in many cases, they are not fully understood or easily accessible, which may limit their impact. So we are seeing more and more organizations rethinking how the benefits are delivered inside the organization with more flexible model, clearer communication, stronger experience, and easier access as well. All this for one objective, to boost and to improve the utilization of these benefits by the employees. And maybe the second challenge as well that we can observe is really the need of personalization. There is a growing need to move from a one-size-fits-all approach to more personalization and benefits. Today, employees are looking for benefits that really reflect their real-life needs, depending on their life stage, depending on their family situation, or personal priorities as well. And we have a very good, perfect example with childcare. Childcare is no longer a niche benefit. It's becoming really essential to enabling workforce continuity, supporting inclusion, and improving retention, especially for working parents. In many ways, childcare today is becoming a core component of a modern and competitive employee experience. So the focus today is really moving from a simply offering benefit to delivering a meaningful, seamless, and human experience for employees with benefits. The studies we are really pleased to launch today will provide a deeper look into these domains and these dimensions and offer actionable insights as well to help organizations close the gap between intention and impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Karine, for sharing those wonderful insights. We will now move on to the unveiling of the study by Sebastian and Karine.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I am very pleased to show you and to present the study on employee benefits Reimagined, a 360-degree study of corporate thinking, insights, utilization, and future outlook.
And on my side, I'm very happy to reveal the annual India Workplace Childcare benchmark.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Karine. I would now like to welcome Mr. Harish Sarma, Marketing and Product Director at Pluxee India, followed by Ms. Ketika Kapoor, Co-founder and Operations Director at ProEves, a Pluxee company, to share an overview on the employee benefits and workplace childcare studies, respectively.
Thank you, Sneha. We are putting up the slides. So in case you're wondering, how do you get your hands on the study? Right after this webinar, you will receive an email with a link to download the study. And we'll also be ensuring that, each and every one of you after this webinar has a link uniquely where you can go and download both of these studies. So there are two links that you can access. So thank you all for joining today, and it's my pleasure to walk you through the employee benefit study. And after that, I'll invite my partner Kritika to do the workplace childcare study and walk you through some insights. We can move to the next slide, please. So just a quick background. This is the second edition of the employee benefit study that we are showcasing today. We unveiled the last study last year. With these studies, these are probably the first of their kind studies on both these ends, on the employee benefits and on childcare in India. The idea was to understand from the industry, all of you, from practitioners' perspective, but also from an employee's perspective, what is it, what makes them use their employee benefits? How are they utilizing? What are the trends that are being on the employee benefits side? And this edition, we have something special. We chose not only to speak to employees of corporates, but also to people who are on the CXO, the other side, on the decision-making side, and who are actually administering these benefits. And what we've tried to do through the study is to both sides of the coin, to say, okay, what are organizations extending? And on the other hand, what do employees feel, valuable, and what sort of feedback do they have, etc. So this is truly a 360-degree study of how corporates are thinking, insights, utilization. You can use this as a benchmark to really see what is it that you're doing, what is it some of your peers are doing, and what more you can be doing from an attraction, engagement, and employee experience standpoint. So very quickly, these are the four objectives that can be fulfilled by going through the study. We have an overview of benefits. We've tried to put them into some buckets. So employees and employees, clearly demarcate their importance across these segments. As I said, it's a means to benchmark your benefits practices that your organization is following. We've also seen to evaluate program effectiveness from both an employer and employee standpoint. How do they see these programs roll out in real time or on a real world? And there is a short section also where we've asked both employees and employers, how is it that what is coming up in the future? What are the benefits they are looking at? Sneha, we can move to the next slide, please. So quickly, whom did we reach out to on these studies? While human resources and government are at the vanguard of employee benefits and administration to organizations, our respondent universe pretty much spans other departments also, and decision makers here. As a people manager, many more people are involved in employee benefits, the decision making, and really rolling this out so that employees can use them day in and day out. From an industry standpoint, also, it's pretty representative across IT, ITES, engineering, BFSI, technology, spans across industries that you will be able to see the feedback that we've collected from. Yes, Neha, we can go to the next slide. So what we did is this is all together, this is more than 30 benefits or 35 benefits that we've tried to study across this. Probably, again, as I said, one of the most comprehensive studies conducted in the country. And we put these under 4 broad heads: work enabler benefits, health and wellness benefits, leave and dependent care, and financial benefits. And across all of these, we have feedback. In each and every one of them, what we try to see is, okay, how do employees value them, and how many organizations are offering the benefit? So on the work enablers, this is probably one of those where a lot of organizations are doing one or the other benefit. But if you have to look at the white spaces, commute-related support is where there is more employee demand than organization support today. And hybrid working and benefits that support hybrid working, again, there is a 50% gap here between organizations providing this support and what employees are asking for or valuing in the market. Health and wellness, again, this is where all our insurance related benefits also sit. So while 88% of organizations are offering them, what we see is on the health and well-being side, including heads like parental insurance, doctor consultation, dental and vision care, fitness allowances. These are places where there is a big gap between employee expectations and what companies offer. Leave and dependent care was a real area where there is a huge chasm. Actually, it's not a gap; it's a gaping hole if you look at it that way. Across family care, child care, and elderly care, we see a huge difference between employees who really want these benefits in their daily functioning at work and beyond to really make their life and work more effective. But still, not a lot of organizations, at least that we surveyed, are at this stage extending these benefits uniformly. And on the financial benefit side also, this is an area which affects you probably for those who are in need on a daily basis, starting from low interest loans to company product discounts and education assistance. Here also there is a gap, not probably as wide as health and wellness or leave and dependent care, but there are areas where consistently employee expectation beats organizational truth. So this is my final slide on the insights. We looked at 4 key metrics from an HR standpoint: attraction, productivity, engagement, and retention. And 93% of our respondents said that, across all these 4 areas, employee benefits is a key lever that they really leverage. On the employee side, also 91% employees agreed. Interestingly, 52% of the employees we surveyed said that they're willing to accept salary in exchange to better employee benefits. This pretty much probably speaks to the strategic element that employee benefits bring. And as you design your total reward strategy or your employee compensation, this is surely a data point that you should consider to see how you not only make your your salary structure better, but also more effective in the way it addresses your organizational needs. In terms of administration, still a lot of companies, 4 out of 10 companies, are on some sort of manual or paper-based processes. So there is a need for digitization here. Changes are, how to meet ever-evolving employee expectations, high administrative costs, and an awareness gap, which I'll again touch upon in my following point. What we did when we looked at employees, the employee spectrum was we looked at users across 3 cohorts: those who are don't utilize their benefits or don't know much of the benefits, to optimal users. Only 1 out of 5 that we surveyed are actually optimally using their benefits. There's 80% of the cohort is either really unaware of their benefits or not optimally or not using them optimally. And 2 areas that employees and organizations consistently and evenly talk about are effective communication and digital experiences. If you look at the future, 50% organizations that we surveyed said that they are increasing investments in employee benefits in the next 1 to 3 years. And the areas where they are doing this is, how to boost it is to fit utilization and how to quickly enable new benefits as per employee evolving needs. And this is where tools and processes is where their investments are going into. And 2 areas to invest mainly from both an employee standpoint is in the health and wellness and family care areas. There are many, many more insights. We have poured days and weeks to not only do the study, but also to bring out all the in. So make sure you grab your copy, and we'll be more than happy to also have feedback, any feedback or any discussion points that you'd like to have with us. Kritika, over to you for the childcare study.
Thank you, Harish. Thank you so much for all the insights on the benefit side. We'll focus now on the childcare insights, and this is a study that Sebastian mentioned. It's the 9th study that we are doing. So very, very, very proud that for consecutively 9 years, we've been supporting India Inc. with respect to the childcare benefit insights. And this time the insights are deeper and relevant because it's timed well with the Code of Social Security also coming in, and a lot of organizations deciding what they need to do from a childcare perspective. The intent of the study has been fourfold. We've wanted to look at the evolving models as far as the daycare benefit is concerned. So we've all heard about the on-site model, how organizations are building up daycares within their offices, but that's a model that's fairly archaic in nature now. And when you look at the numbers, you'll realize that not many organizations are doing it. We've evolved as India Inc. in a more relevant model is in place, which is being termed as the flexible, near home, pan city childcare support model, where organizations are looking at supporting employees near office as well as near the home of the parents. We've also looked at how is it that organizations are funding the childcare benefit, what are the different cost models that operate in India as far as the childcare benefit is concerned, while the compliance makes it very clear that as an organization, you do have to fund the benefit, but we do understand organizations would focus on priorities with respect to employer contribution, capacities, as well as cost efficiency that they would need to look at when deciding the funding approach. As far as the next theme of the study is concerned, we try to also assess what is it that organizations are doing as far as coverage of the benefit is concerned. Is childcare from a relevance perspective only being given out to working mothers? Is it something which is gender inclusive, or also going beyond the permanent workforce onto contract workforce? So again, the guidance from the law is to cover all employees and to be gender neutral, but as a journey, organizations are on different spreads as far as childcare benefit is concerned. And the last theme is to also look at exactly what are the challenges that organizations are facing as far as implementing the childcare benefit is concerned. Is it, just accessing the daycares? Is it managing the benefit? Is it controlling the benefit? So what are the delivery models that are operating in India when one is looking at childcare benefit? Because this is a fairly unorganized sector in terms of the different daycares that are being run across the industry. So that's one of the things that we try to understand as well as part of the study. We had around 98 organizations participate in the study, and leading the industry representation was IT/ITS sector at 39%, 26% was the BFSI sector. And then we had a fairly good representation from the services sector. FMCG and pharma, always important to be part of the study because they give a very interesting perspective. And in terms of the decision makers that participated in the study, we had HR leaders, rewards and benefits team, D&I team, and senior leaderships that participated to help us understand what exactly is happening as far as the childcare space is concerned. Yes, so see, these are some of the initial insights that we have. You will obviously get the reports to better understand in detail how the childcare benefit is progressing and how is it that the companies are taking it forward with respect to different elements. But the key insights that we have is that now parents and the working parents category, as we talk about, which is impacted by the childcare benefit, is a fairly significant part of the workforce. We have around 40% of the workforce that is being led or a composition of such workforces of working parents, right? So that's a significant element. So not only is the requirement of childcare benefit from a compliance side, but it's also from a perspective that you as an organization do have this employee segment that you need to attend to and engage and retain. And therefore, from a workforce composition perspective, this does account for a relevant benefit also from an employee demographic perspective. So that's one of the insights that we've got from a lot of organizations, that compliance is important, but relevance of the benefit is definitely there from an employee segment perspective. The next insight that we have is around the daycare model. Exactly what is it that organizations are doing as far as the childcare benefit is concerned? And I mentioned about it that you only see 1% of the organizations in the study that are going for on-site daycare. And these are largely organizations which have large land banks, Indian conglomerates that are opening up on-site daycares. If you look at the near-site daycare tie-up, which was also a model that prevalent when the law came into being. So we had around 17% of organizations that are only doing tie-ups to office, their office spreads from a go-live perspective on the childcare benefit. And we have around 70% of the organizations that have gone flexible, where they are now over the years moving to a model where they want to support their parents near office, providing them daycares near office, as well as supporting them near home across every single pin code that the parent could sit in the city of importance. So that's the evolution we've seen as far as the daycare model is concerned, from on-site, near-site, up to flexible and pan-city spread is what the industry is moving towards. The next insight is around the gender neutrality. So what is it that organizations are covering? And we have seen that while this has always been a working mothers focused or women only benefit, when we went live, we've seen organizations move from 48% to 64% in the last 3 years. So when we looked at the last study in 2022, we had around 48% of the organizations that had this as a gender neutral benefit. And now we have around 64% of the organizations that are also covering their fathers as part of the benefit. And now with the Code of Social Security endorsing this, we do understand that a lot, like almost all organizations will move towards funding this benefit, both for working fathers as well as working mothers. We do have another element that, the law talks about, that one needs to go beyond the permanent employees up to the contract employees when one is looking at covering the childcare benefit. But that's a gap that still remains. We see organizations first filling up the gap of permanent employees, ensuring both men and women are getting covered. And then we see them covering up the gap with respect to the contract employees. And therefore, we see only 20% of the organizations that participated in the study to be offering this benefit to the contract employees. These themes remain in terms of the future outlooks. I've talked about it. As far as childcare benefit is concerned, there's full workforce coverage that we are aiming for, starting from women up to men, and then the contract and the gig workers. That's what the law has envisioned, and that's what the companies are moving towards. There's a rise of flexible network-based models from the earlier old vision on-site, near-site. We're moving to flexible network-based models supporting employees across the spread in the city of operation. Stronger alignment with respect to the D&I and workforce strategy, because childcare is an important piece of now the talent strategy as well as the reward strategy, and ensuring that there is a structured way of delivering the benefit with greater controls and better monitoring to build for scale. So that's all the insights on the childcare side. Thank you.
Thank you, Harish and Ketika, for sharing the insights from the studies. To take this conversation forward and explore what these insights mean in practice, I would now like to invite Mr. Anish Sarkar, who is the Managing Director at Pluxee India and also leads the India, Philippines, and Indonesia cluster. Anish will be moderating today's panel discussion with our esteemed speakers. Over to you, Anish.
Thank you, Sneha. And welcome to everybody on this session as well. We're just about halfway through. Special welcome to all the panelists, and let me just quickly mention, so we have on this panel Gaurav Gupta, Director of Global Benefits and Wellbeing Freshworks. We have Saurav Kale, Fractional CHRO at Startups, and we have Vinod Sharma, who is AVP HR at Vindhya Telelinks. So great to have you on board this panel, gentlemen. I think the panel is titled Benefits as a Growth Lever, the Future of Workforce Strategy Redefined. But I guess we will cover both the topics, and I think you heard briefly from both Harish and Ketika what we investigated in these two studies, what were the findings, what are the trends that have stayed the same, what are the new aspects that we've looked into, etc. So of course, you will get a chance to go through the studies. But what we want to do in this panel is to get first-hand views from three very experienced, very senior practitioners in terms of their views on both the topics. We don't have a lot of time, but we'll try to capture as much of their insights as possible. I had a bit of an introduction planned for the panel, but I'm going to skip it in the intro in the interests of time and jump straight into the questions with my panelists. So maybe as a first step, let's just set the context a little bit. And I think it was already done when we saw the findings of both studies. But maybe if I come to you first, Saurabh, just a little bit of a high-level question to start off. Our research shows that there is a clear gap between what employees value and and what organizations prioritize. And this is age old, right? As HR practitioners, leaders, employees, I guess we've all felt this at some point or the other. Now, but where do you see this gap the most in terms of, the organization and also from your own experience? Maybe if you could shed some light on this, Saurabh, it would be a great way to kick off with some context.
Great, and thanks for having me. Quick congratulations to Pluxee team for launch of the survey. And a quick apology, where I am, there is a thunderstorm outside. So in case you don't hear me, I'm happy to repeat myself. But on that note, quickly, Anish, I feel that the gap exists typically in the mindset of us versus them. The employees typically would want flexibility from their, or rather they expect flexibility in the benefits. There's always an employee budget, and within that budget, the employee, if we are to segregate into a Gen Z, mid-career, or a seasoned professional in that sense, the employee budget today kind of takes care of everyone, but it's a blanket one. So think about it, if we are able to personalize it, and also provide that flexibility, I think, employees would kind of look forward to that. On the employer side, for them, it's mostly the breadth. Like we offer 20 plus, benefits. We have so many policies in that sense and so on, right? So I don't think so there's a problem with the intent of providing the benefits per se, but I think it's the how it is executed, in the organization is where the gap exists. So we tend to kind of, have remote work policies or hybrid work policies, but then we also add controls to it, right? We have policies, manager approvals, and so on and so forth. So sometimes, that's where I'll kind of go back to the fact that, you have the right intent, but the execution is a gap. And it kind of, results into a whole lot of noise per se. So it leads into a little bit of, I would say, low perceived value of the benefits offered by the organization. So if we could tackle that, I think it would be a great help. Back to you.
Thanks, Saurabh. No, great thoughts. I love your us versus them analogy. And I think, one way to look at it, the organization is not some kind of inanimate body, right? It's ultimately a set of people. It's a set of leaders or a board or what have you, which is deciding, what the work environment should be, the workplace should look like, what benefits should be. And ultimately, each of them is also an employee. And if you can bridge that gap where the people representing the organization, so to speak, can also put themselves in the employee's shoes and see what really makes sense, I think that would really help. No, great thoughts. Thanks, Saurabh, for kicking it off. Maybe I go to you next, Gaurav. And I come straight to the topic of benefits, right? We see that organizations have a whole wide range of benefits, and we saw from Harish's slides just how many, and by the way, that's not all, but just the sheer number that we even could delve into, which is probably not even everything that's out there. There's a wide range of benefits, and yet somehow utilization of the benefits by employees is not ideal. It's not as much as the organization would like, or the maybe the HR leadership would like. In your view, what's the main cause of this? Is it awareness? Is it the way the benefits are designed? Is it difficult to access or administer? Where do you think the problem or problems might lie? Gaurav?
Sure. So firstly, huge congratulations to Pluxee team on launch of both the surveys. Really looking forward to go through them in detail. And in case I have any questions, I'll reach out to you guys. So utilization linked problem to benefits is something which is not new. It has been there for, I think, more than decades now. So it is a challenge which majority of the organizations across India, across the globe, are currently grappling with. All of us do provide benefits which cater to multiple needs of an employee, but at the same time, we do get challenged on how the stats are looking in terms of utilization. They don't look really great. We have people who might be there are benefit programs which we do need to offer, but they have only 3%, 4% utilization. So it is not something which can be attributed only to one reason. It is a it has multiple aspects, and it would typically be a mix of awareness, design, access slash technology related concerns or challenges, and severity of the same will vary by organization. Uh, and as we delve into the utilization of benefits, we must also understand very clearly that benefits typically tend to be trigger based programs, and not all employees end up utilizing or end up finding a need to utilize these programs, which is very different from other HR policies or programs, which can be typically around uh, reimbursements of mobile phone or internet reimbursement or something like that. But that said, in benefits, utilization is typically seen across from certain specific programs, which can be leave or statutory benefits. But beyond that, we have seen the impact to be pretty low. As an example, if we talk about health insurance programs, annually, roughly 8 to 10% of the employees across the industry end up utilizing health insurance, which typically means while we are paying huge amounts of premiums covering all our employees, the utilization or the touch point is with 8 to 10% of employees. It is not a design issue, it is not a awareness issue, but employees will try to find out about a benefit when the need arises for them. It's not something which they will end up using on a daily basis, or they would have a top of the mind recall. Similarly, a childcare as a benefit is an interesting one, but how many employees are we actually reaching out to with it? Then when we are talking about benefits, some of the organizations do tend to over-engineer a particular benefit program, which makes it pretty complex for employees to understand. Similarly, I might put in a tech in place, but that might defeat the purpose from an access standpoint completely, if not done adequately and in the proper way. All of these do tend to lead to adverse perception around a benefit program being offered. Some employees might actually talk about may just voice out the concern openly amongst employees, talking about that XYZ benefit is there, but we do have challenges or we are not able to utilize it properly. And the voice of the employee amongst employees does spread and can have an adverse effect when an individual wants to utilize a benefit. They may not end up utilizing it just for the problem of difficult program which might have been curated or access related issues or delivery mechanisms around it. So each and every organization has a very different challenge around programs, but that said, it's more or less awareness, touch point, and uh, the right design or driving employee experience, which leads to lower utilization of the benefit program.
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav. I think you gave some very nice illustrations, and as you rightly said, this is an age-old topic. And I think as benefits continuously evolve, this gap in utilization, it needs to be continuously monitored. You introduce new benefits, as you said. Not everything is important to everybody. I like the expression used. It's a trigger-based HR intervention compared to many other things. But yes, it is something we need to keep working on. Just moving to the childcare topic, Vinod, and I know you are close to this as well. I mean, not only, but how do you see the whole topic of childcare evolving, perhaps in your organization or even in your experience? Of course, there is a compliance angle to it, given the labor laws and all of that. And we heard Ketika talk about this as well. But is it something that companies are also looking at as a workforce concern or as a workforce need, something they want to give to the eligible employees, even if it's not something that is just a compliance requirement? What would be your perspective on this, Vinod?
Good evening, Anish, sorry. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to first congratulate the Pluxee team and wish a happy Hanuman Jayanti to all of you guys. And I would love to dedicate this Hanuman Jayanti to Pluxee, saying said so that Pluxee will definitely play a role of Hanuman into the organization which Hanuman has played in it. So I can see that you will
Thank
relate
you.
to that one. Just to think that way. Isn't so now coming back to the question being asked, like for the childcare, definitely what I would say is the first is the mindset. Till now, what we have been seeing is that the child care, or what you call is the maternity benefit, or the crunches, having crunches, is just a matter of legal aspect. Now, what has happened is we have to move from that challenge. We have to come forward. Now, this challenge has been taken out. Like one, it was only a gender specific. Now it has given to the whole of the world. So now there is no such thing which is gender specific. And I tell you, a lot of people, when we had a long discussion with Madam Kapoor on this, like how the perspective is now changing, why the need has come up, what is the new thing, what we can give it into the child care. This is the sector wherein we find that it is being neglected so much. When I say it is neglected so much that people are not even bothered, it is just, and if I talk about a lot of things which are, we will find that a lot of companies or industries will only be finding as a token of just compliance to the compliance. Otherwise, it is nothing being given to those parts. Going forward, yes, we have seen that there are a lot of challenges into this. There have been a lot of news coming floating in onto the child care, specifically with the crunch. The new scenario which is changing, it is not only the crunches at one place and the official where it is on site, it could be offline, it could be the nanny model as well, wherein nanny model cannot be afforded by a lot of people. There could be a lot of restriction to that. To come up out of this, there are a lot of, again, then challenges comes. Now coming back to like my organization, if I talk about with an example, we are into the service industry. So, apart from service industry, we are also into the infrastructure development projects. So where my maximum workforce, like I've got 5,000 workforce directly under me, and then the blue collar and other contractor labor, which counts to 2,000 to 20,000 plus. So catering for them, those things is really a huge challenge, big challenge for me. So wherein I have got a lot of people who are into the ruler, wherein, okay, we have got certain facilities wherein we can provide, and we are providing them with the crunches and all. But mainly the problem comes about the rural areas where you don't find even those things, even though people don't speak about those. It's not only that you don't find, people don't speak about those. That parenting is there. They say that they have got the elder parents who will take care of their children or whatever it is that way. Or they also suffer because of their aging factor. They are also not able to take those care properly, and people from that part is getting into those aspect. So it is not only the taking care of the children, child care, but it is also for the parenting as well. So to consider this, now what to the extent like what we had a discussion on to this, how we can give those benefit to the individual, which will definitely impact their per se onto the productivity, their social awareness. What the code of wages said all about is like you have to give this. It is something which is being forced to us, but it should not be forced. It should come automatically. It should be a mindset. When we come into that, yes, now not the child care is not the only one thing which is to be taken up in the prospect of the compliance, but now it is the prospect wherein the now Gen Z will require this as a motivational factor or onto the productivity side, the healthy mind, what it is there. So considering those points, and I have got my workforce of age of 37, I would say the average age of my workforce is 37 years old. So considering that, here the big point and big challenge for me is at least one family would have this facility, asking for me about this facility. So getting into those things with Pluxee, I tell you, it has, when we had a discussion, it was really a wonderful move from your end. We have to, now we are ensuring our team, our people who come to us for asking about the crunches, like how do we go about, what has to be taken up, and specifically the compliance part. So now all those things has been taken care, and we are really ready to move forward for giving up more benefit, not only to the child caring, but also to the parenting as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, first of all, for the kind words about Pluxee and for being a patron of us. But also, I think the great insights, very frank insights. And yes, this is indeed the reality. I think the move to gender neutrality of what has traditionally been seen as a maternity benefit, I think is also a great point. I move on now a little bit. I mean, now that we've set a little bit of context about, the current scenario, maybe, just looking ahead on some of these topics, and I come back to you, Saurabh, and I think this point briefly came up in a couple of the earlier responses. But what do you think about personalization? I mean, it's a topic and it's a word which is used a lot and has been for a long time. But here we are talking about I mean, both the depth and breadth of personalization that keeps becoming bigger, and I mean, the possibilities keep becoming bigger and bigger. I mean, how do you think, one can personalize or achieve this kind of flexibility at scale? What are the practical limits? I mean, how far can we go, and how do we push ourselves even further?
It's a very interesting times also to ask this question. So I'll try my level best to kind of, respond to that. So let's take, for an example, 3 career stages of an employee. Early one, let's say a Gen Z. Mid-career stage, let's say somebody in typically an age group of 30 to 35, 37 types. And let's say a senior professional in the age group of, say, 40 and above as well. Now, the priorities are very different for each of these employees, right? Maybe early in the career, they want to kind of purchase gadgets, devices, flaunt them amongst the peer group, and so on and so forth. Maybe they also kind of, look for memberships and so on and so forth. So the cult pass and, memberships, gym memberships, and so on and so forth. So that's probably the priority at that point in time. The second, mid-career professionals, the priorities are different. They have aging parents to kind of take care of it. So insurance, the health and wellness benefits typically will kind of, will be their priority. For us senior professionals, it would be their own health and wellness. And I would say also the insurance benefits, continued benefits per se, travel, maybe in case they love to kind of, use their time. So the priorities for every working professional are going to be different. So personalization kicks in here. Now, the organizations typically, I would say, benefit strategy is one size fits all. And, let's say for that matter, there's a common budget for every employee. And for, let's say, an early employee, early career employee, some things don't matter. Their parents are well insured. Maybe they want to kind of, utilize they don't want to avail the dependent parents, but instead of that, they want to kind of avail something else. Now, that flexibility today is unavailable on any platform anywhere. Now, if, let's say through policies, through benefits, this particular personalization is kind of provided, I think each one of them will like to avail within the given budget their own preferences or choices. Now, the flip side of, personalization, I would also say is, too much of personalization leads to chaos as well. So, you can't really personalize everything. Which means that if we want to personalize, some of the constraints that we will need to operate on would be to reduce choices. So primarily, let's say that you have a few things on financial wellness, health and wellness, leaves and family care, and let's say we finalize it on the work enablers, very similar to the report that I just saw on the screen. So imagine if these are the 4 pillars, and within that you have limited choices. Personalization can still be achieved, and it can still be achieved at scale. So from that point of view, there are a few things that I would like to suggest. And, these are some of the things that I like to keep for myself as well. Any policy, anything that you kind of design shouldn't go beyond 2 touch points. So 2 scrolls at best. This is to avoid decision fatigue. So a lot of times approvals, the maker checker approach, all of that kind of creates a decision fatigue in the organization. Second is to reduce bottlenecks for approvals. Tiered approach in terms of approvals, manager approval, skip level manager approval, and so on and so forth. So even that can probably be reduced when it comes to achieving benefits at scale. The third I've already mentioned, but is to reduce the choices primarily when it comes to personalization. And finally, use of technology. I would say a very simple thing. I agree with Gaurav that over engineering any benefit would kind of create a problem. But if you are looking to deploy technology in different geographies, different places, different offices, I think this is a true enabler when it comes to reach of any benefit. But yeah, these are a few things of pros of personalization and the flip side of personalization as well.
Yes, thanks, Saurabh. I think you broke it down very nicely. I mean, and you make this great point about over personalization as well. I think maybe as organizations and as practitioners, we have gone too far down the path of giving too much choice. It's like I make the comparison with OTT today. There's so much earlier, you had a couple of movies releasing, a few things on TV. Now there's so much choice. It's over choice is also a bad thing. It's difficult to know what to watch in the evening and on which platform, what genre, etc. So I think, and I believe it is time as things are evolving, laws are evolving, the world is of course constantly changing. I think making some choices on behalf of employees while leaving some other choices for them is probably a balance that organizations will need to strike, because and you gave the nice example of different cohorts of employees who have different priorities, etc. No, great, thank you so
Anish,
much. Yes,
Anish,
please go
Gaurav
ahead.
here, just one
Gaurav,
sentence
go ahead.
here.
Yes,
Yeah,
please
just
go
one
ahead.
sentence. Yeah. So just adding to what Saurabh also called out, while companies are striving, and especially now in India, they are gearing more towards flexible, personalized benefits. They must also realize that each and every organization, each and every workforce tends to be very different from each other. What may have worked to drive personalization to a particular level at one organization ABC, that may not be possible for another organization because of its workforce and their unique needs coming in. So assessment of organization and their workforce and the needs becomes a critical factor before getting into personalization.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great point, Gaurav. And since you have the mic, I come to you next as well, and I come back to the topic of childcare. And maybe it'll be interesting to hear your perspective on how you see this benefit evolving in future. We have distributed workforce, hybrid working. The world of work has also changed so much. How would organizations start to curate this childcare benefit going ahead, in your view?
Sure, and I think this is an interesting aspect. Uh, while companies are moving between hybrid to full time in office, back to hybrid, or juggling between virtual, hybrid, and full time in office. So all that is adding complexity towards how childcare can typically be set up from a long-term sustainable fashion without bringing in too many changes, and also without complicating access to the same. So as we understand currently, the workforce across in India landscape can either be 100% in office, can be hybrid or virtual, and this can also be seen within same single organization too. So from that, taking that as a baseline, uh, when we started working on childcare, and at that juncture, happy to have worked with Ketika during those initial years, we imagined it from a long-term perspective that if we are curating something right now, it should stand the tests of the time, and it should not have change in the structure while the employee base might change or might evolve. So from the context of how our workforces are structured and may evolve in future, something which I firmly believe in is that it needs to be distributed. It needs to be a large scale network, easy to access from an employee standpoint, which basically means that while I'm trying to search for a childcare center, I need at the start itself, I don't need to take out my car, go to 5 to 6 different childcare centers, either near to my office or near to my home, and then make a selection. But something which should be available easily at click of a mouse. Uh, and and stepping forward from there, which typically would lead to a pan city approach being one of the most employee friendly approaches, and even most reasonable from a corporate standpoint, because having a guaranteed childcare center next to your office or within the office space is going to be is a challenging task to have. So pan city is one part to it, But now we also need to take into cognizance, and that's something which is very future, very forward looking, and we may have to really curate some solutions across on that front. Would be we do see employees within India traveling from one city to another city. It can even be sometimes for 10 to 15 days in a particular month. And especially for folks who would be having young children who might be going in a daycare center at a particular location. But if parents end up traveling, how does that segment get catered to? So that would typically mean that we may have to think about options where we are scaling a pan-city approach to intercity approach, or or maybe having a spread across states where an organization might be having presence. An employee can potentially utilize the childcare within a network anywhere, which is very similar to what Cult offers with various programs of it. That you can, if you enroll with Cult, you can access Cult Center across specific locations. The other thing which also, where we also would be keen to see and have a more sustainable solution and what currently exists, is taking cue from the Western world. In Western world, a person may not enroll into a childcare, but depending on their specific situation at home or within family, they may have a need for emergency backup care. It is, when you talk about US, it's a norm there, and it's very easily accessible. That is another area of opportunity where I feel we must potentially look at curating and developing solutions and plan for that also to be integrated within the corporate childcare programs which we are curating in India. And this is more from a couple of these options which I just listed out is more from a progressive standpoint. These go significantly above what the law might be demanding right now. But this is where an employee would start utilizing childcare or have broader touch points with childcare, and we can potentially see utilization spike up a bit more versus what it is currently right now.
Okay, thanks for that, Gaurav. I move on to the next question. Vinod, I come to you, and if you had to redesign your benefit strategy or relook at it, and of course, all organizations have the weight of history behind them. Some things have been there in place, some things are difficult to change, start, blah, blah, blah. But if you had to take a fresh look at benefit strategy, what would be one or two key changes you would make if you could go back in time and restart it?
Anish, this is really a very challenging and very interesting question. As I said, that to me, my workforce is in Gen Z workforce. So for them, the challenge is how do I reach out to them, wherein I find that the productivity is not been hampered. I get my maximum output from those people. What is the demand and need? See, we have got a lot of, as every organization has a lot of engagement activities there. The major thing is like, how do we implement those? The major thing is how do we implement those, and how do we educate people onto the same? Based on the same way, if I have been given a chance to redesign it, frankly speaking, I would first reach out to the people, because they are the people, they are the one who wanted those things, rather than putting up the 20 odd things or 20 things which is there in the basket. I would love to have more insight from the employees, going to them as per the new demand, new regime, and the new cultural change being coming up into the organizations with the workforce. New demands are there. So considering those things, I will definitely cater one or two things which would be, one is the parenting, which I was always saying, how do we can come up with the new things onto the parenting, then because it would be the same onto the cost without impacting the cost, because everything comes with the cost. Second thing would be, like, there are a lot of incentives or initiatives can be taken up which doesn't have that much of impact, financial impact. So those things which definitely will have a motivational factor for the employees. So I will definitely look out for those things which will give them the thought process of realization of the services being given to them, rather than just putting up in 1 or 20 odd engagement activities or those things. So it would be something which will be, one, I said there, yes, there will be a parenting. Then second could be the new, like what normally the new Gen Z people think of about the wellness incentives, the family connect. That is also one of the aspects which I would definitely love to talk about, because what I have seen practically with an example, I wanted to quote it out here if I have been permitted for 1 minute. Like post-COVID, since my organization is into the projects and we execute the projects, chunky projects in Pan India, a lot of my workforce is away from their family. So the family connect is not there. So if I have been asked, or if I have to redesign this thing, so one and the foremost thing which I would do, or I would love to get into, is the family connect and well-being, wellness programs and well-being for them. How we can take care of those aspects. Their parents, how we can ensure the employees out here that their parents are being well taken of care, or they are well out there, or how we can ensure that without hampering or without losing the productivity of project, how we can make them people mobilize to their family, so that they can also have the quality time with them. So this would be my two takes away, that to the family connect, the quality time, without putting up the productivity that onto the stake.
Well, thanks, Vinod. Looks like we have run out of time, but I think we got some great perspectives from all three of you. Both the topics are big. There's a lot to talk about. We could cover many different aspects, but we do need to stop here. However, I hope all of you in the audience who are here, and of course people who could not even join, will be able to read both studies, and it will give more food for thought, more reflections, of course, on where we are, what are the barriers, what are the future opportunities, and adapt for our respective organizations going ahead. Thank you very much, Saurabh, Gaurav, and Vinod, first of all, for your time on this panel, for all the preparation, and most importantly for your thoughts and insights, which I'm sure were super useful and super interesting for our audience. So thank you very much. With that, Sneha, I hand it over to you to close the webinar.
Thank you, Anish. And thank you to all our panelists for sharing such valuable perspectives. And to everyone who joined us today.
Thank
What
you.
clearly emerges
It
from
was
today's
lovely meeting
discussion
you all, and it was lovely learning face to
is
all.
that employee benefits are no longer just about policies or offerings. They're about real impact and how employees experience work, how organizations support the people, and how workplaces evolve to meet the changing needs. The insights from the two studies we launched today highlight an important shift from intent to impact, from offering benefits to enabling real usage and value. We hope today's session has given you not just insights, but also practical perspectives that you can take back to your organizations. Once this webinar ends, you'll be redirected to our page from where you can download both the studies. So thank you once again for your time, your participation, and your engagement. Thank you, everyone. We'll be ending the webinar now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.